the Republic is burning. Separatist armies sweep across the galaxy, destroying entire star systems. But what if the Guardians of Peace and Justice simply walked away? What if the Jedi Order, faced with the greatest war in galactic history, chose to remain neutral? Today, we explore a timeline where the Clone Wars became something far more terrifying than anyone imagined. A war without heroes, a galaxy without hope, and a Chancellor who got exactly what he wanted, but not how he planned it. It begins on Geonosis, just as we know it. Obi-Wan discovers the Separatist plot, Anakin and Padme are captured, and the Republic Senate grants Palpatine emergency powers. But here's where our timeline splits. When Master Windu prepares to assemble his strike team of 200 Jedi to rescue their captured brothers, the Council makes a different choice. In this timeline, the Jedi recognize a terrible truth hidden in plain sight. The clone army, created without their knowledge using the identity of a fallen Jedi Master, feels wrong, too convenient, too perfectly timed for a galactic crisis that seems designed to force their hand. Master Yoda reminds the Council of their most fundamental teaching: attachment leads to suffering. But what greater attachment could there be than to the Republic itself? Master Windu speaks the words that change galactic history forever. If the Jedi lead this war, they become warriors, not peacekeepers. They risk falling to the very darkness they've sworn to destroy. The Clone Wars represent everything the Jedi Order stands against: mass violence, armies of identical beings created for slaughter, and the transformation of protectors into generals. The vote is close, but the decision is final. The Jedi Order will not participate in the Clone Wars. The galaxy's reaction is immediate and brutal. Senators who supported the Military Creation Act denounced the Jedi as cowards and traitors to democracy itself. Supreme Chancellor Palpatine, forced to publicly condemn the Jedi decision while privately seething at this unexpected development, declares that the Republic will proceed without their mystical guidance. Planetary governments that expected Jedi protection find themselves facing separatist invasions, with only clone forces and local militias to defend them. Political commentators across the galaxy debate whether the Order has finally revealed its true nature as an aloof, disconnected religious cult, more concerned with ancient philosophy than galactic survival. Anti-Jedi sentiment spreads rapidly through core world populations who view the decision as the ultimate betrayal by beings they once revered as heroes. But the Jedi Council holds firm, guided by a simple principle that will reshape the galaxy in ways no one can yet imagine. Sometimes the greatest act of courage is refusing to fight a war that feels fundamentally wrong. Master Yoda speaks words that will echo through galactic history. Lead to the dark side, this war will. Choose we must, between victory and our souls. Within 18 months, the Republic ceases to exist as a functioning government. Without Jedi generals providing strategic brilliance and force-enhanced leadership, the clone army suffers catastrophic defeats at Kamino, Coruscant, and Quat drive yards. The Separatist Confederacy doesn't just win battles, they systematically dismantle the Republic's entire military and political infrastructure. Count Dooku, no longer distracted by lightsaber duels with his former apprentice or other Jedi adversaries, focuses entirely on military strategy and political consolidation. General Grievous, without Jedi to hunt as his primary obsession, becomes an unstoppable force of pure tactical brilliance, coordinating massive droid armies with mechanical precision. The result is the complete conquest of the core worlds. But here's where Palpatine's carefully laid plans begin to unravel in ways he never anticipated. Count Dooku was never supposed to actually win the Clone Wars. As the Separatists claim total victory and begin establishing a new galactic government, Dooku starts investigating the war's origins more deeply. He discovers evidence of his master's elaborate deception that created both sides of the conflict. The student confronts the master, but this time, Dooku commands entire star systems and the galaxy's most powerful military force. When he learns that Palpatine planned to eventually betray the Confederacy and rule as Emperor, Using both sides as pawns in an elaborate game of galactic domination, Dooku makes a decision that fractures the Sith Order itself. The galaxy witnesses its first Sith civil war in over a millennium as Palpatine, stripped of his Republic power base and emergency authority, faces his former apprentice who now holds the superior military position. The irony is not lost on the scattered Jedi observers. The dark side, built on betrayal and selfishness, inevitably turns upon itself when victory seems within reach. What Palpatine created to destroy the Jedi has instead destroyed his own carefully constructed empire before it could even be fully established. With the Republic's fall and Coruscant under separatist control, the Jedi face an unprecedented crisis. Their temple, home to the Order for over 25,000 years, is seized by Count Dooku's forces. For the first time in galactic history, the Jedi have no central home, no political protection, and no official status. But this catastrophe becomes their unexpected salvation. Master Yoda leads what becomes known as the Great Diaspora, the intentional scattering of Jedi across thousands of worlds throughout the Outer Rim and wild space. But instead of hiding in shame or going into exile, they do something revolutionary. The Jedi integrate completely into local communities, abandoning the isolated temple system that had separated them from ordinary galactic citizens for millennia. The transformation goes far beyond individual planets. The Jedi abandon their rigid hierarchy and ancient restrictions, sharing Force knowledge more freely than ever before. They teach meditation techniques that help beings resist fear and anger. They show farmers how slight Force sensitivity can improve crop yields. They train healers to sense illness before it spreads. Most importantly, they demonstrate that the Force belongs to all life, not just an elite religious order. This creates something Palpatine never anticipated in his wildest calculations. A Force-sensitive underground resistance spread across thousands of worlds, with no central hierarchy to corrupt or destroy. The Jedi's greatest weakness, their rigid organizational structure, becomes their strength when they abandon it entirely. What emerges is something unprecedented in galactic history, a grassroots movement of Force users working within local communities rather than above them. The transformation proves something that both Sith Lords failed to understand in their hunger for power. The Force flows strongest not through conquest and domination, but through service and genuine connection to all living beings. These scattered Jedi communities begin to flourish in ways the temple-bound order never could, creating innovations in agriculture, medicine, and technology that seem impossible to outside observers, but are simply the natural result of beings working in harmony with the Force, rather than trying to control it. Without the Clone Wars to forge him into a battle-hardened general haunted by constant death and violence, Anakin Skywalker develops along a completely different trajectory. His exceptional mechanical skills make him invaluable in refugee camps and disaster zones, where he helps rebuild communities destroyed by the ongoing Sith civil war. But more importantly, without the pressure of military command and the secrecy it demanded, his relationship with Padme evolves in a healthier direction. The Jedi Council, focused on survival and adaptation rather than maintaining ancient traditions, quietly acknowledges that their rules about attachment may have been too rigid for the realities of galactic life. Not officially and not without debate, but Anakin's marriage to Padme becomes an open secret that nobody challenges. After all, what matters more in a galaxy torn apart by war, ancient regulations, or the love that drives him to save lives every day? Without constant exposure to battlefield death and the pressure of impossible military decisions, Anakin's natural compassion flourishes. He still experiences visions of Padme's potential death in childbirth, but without the context of wartime violence and the corruption of Chancellor Palpatine, these dreams don't drive him toward darkness. Instead, they motivate him to become the galaxy's most skilled emergency medical technician, combining Force sensitivity with mechanical expertise to create revolutionary life support systems. Most importantly, Anakin learns to trust his former master completely. When the visions of Padmé's death become too intense to bear alone, he does something that changes everything. He tells Obi-Wan the complete truth about his fears, his marriage, and his desperate need to prevent the future he's seen. This openness, impossible under the old Jedi system of emotional suppression, becomes the foundation of a new kind of Force training based on emotional honesty rather than denial. Together, Anakin and Obi-Wan develop revolutionary approaches to Force healing that combine mechanical precision with organic compassion. Anakin's unique ability to interface with both living beings and technological systems creates entirely new forms of medical treatment that save thousands of lives across refugee camps and disaster zones. His journey toward the dark side, which seemed inevitable in the original timeline, becomes instead a transformation into something the galaxy has never seen. A Force user who bridges the gap between the mystical and the mechanical, proving that technology and the Force are not opposites, but complementary aspects of the same underlying unity. By the third year after Geonosis, the galaxy has fractured into three distinct political entities, locked in a complex struggle for dominance. Count Dooku rules the Confederacy of Independent Systems from his capital on Raxus, commanding the largest and most technologically advanced military force in galactic history. His separatist government controls most of the former Republic's territory, from the core worlds to the mid-rim. Palpatine, now openly calling himself Emperor after abandoning any pretense of Republic legitimacy, controls a smaller but fanatically loyal Imperial faction. His power base consists of mid-rim and outer rim worlds that remained loyal after Coruscant's fall, along with the most ruthless elements of the former Republic military. His empire is built on fear, propaganda, and the promise of order through strength, but lacks the industrial capacity to challenge Dooku directly. But the third faction changes the fundamental nature of galactic politics. The Jedi Alliance encompasses thousands of worlds where Force-sensitive communities have taken root and begun coordinating their mutual defense. These aren't military campaigns in any traditional sense, but something far more dangerous to both Sith Lords. Proof that the Force can create lasting peace and unprecedented prosperity. Worlds within the Jedi Alliance report crime rates dropping to near zero as Force-sensitive peacekeepers can sense deception and violent intent before crimes occur. Famine and disease become increasingly rare as Force-enhanced farmers produce abundant crops and healers develop new techniques that combine medical science with Force healing. Most remarkably, these worlds begin developing revolutionary technologies based on Force principles, machines that respond to mental intention rather than physical controls, healing devices that amplify natural Force abilities, and communication systems that transcend language barriers entirely. For the first time in recorded galactic history, the Force isn't controlled by a small religious order or hidden in the shadows by Sith conspiracies. It becomes integrated into daily life for billions of beings across thousands of worlds. Children born in Jedi Alliance territory demonstrate Force sensitivity at rates never before recorded, suggesting that the artificial restrictions placed on Force training for millennia had been limiting the galaxy's natural spiritual evolution. This development terrifies both Palpatine and Dooku because it proves that everything they fought to achieve, political control, military dominance, and the power to shape galactic civilization through fear and manipulation, is ultimately meaningless compared to what the galaxy can accomplish through voluntary cooperation, enhanced by Force sensitivity. Their entire worldview, built on the premise that beings are naturally selfish and must be controlled through superior power, crumbles when faced with evidence of what happens when people are given the tools to connect with something greater than themselves. The revelation that transforms the galactic conflict begins with small inconsistencies noticed by Jedi working in refugee camps and disaster zones. Master Luminara observes that attacks on Jedi-protected settlements always seem to have convenient holonet coverage that portrays the Jedi as either incompetent or secretly aligned with one of the Sith factions. Kit Fisto realizes that seemingly random violence across different sectors follows patterns suggesting coordinated manipulation rather than organic conflict. But it's Obi-Wan Kenobi who makes the crucial connection that changes everything. The Force-sensitive civilians he's been training across multiple worlds begin reporting the same disturbing sensation, a pervasive dark influence affecting galactic events but emanating from both Sith factions simultaneously. When Master Yoda coordinates the combined meditation efforts of thousands of scattered Jedi and their Force-sensitive students, the truth becomes undeniable. Both Palpatine and Dooku are Sith Lords who planned the entire Clone Wars as an elaborate deception. The revelation hits the Jedi Alliance like a seismic shock, but unlike in the original timeline, they're prepared to act on this knowledge. 3 years of maintaining independence from political power while building grassroots support has given them something the old Jedi Order never possessed: the backing of entire populations who have experienced firsthand the benefits of Force-guided governance. The Jedi Alliance makes a decision that reshapes galactic politics forever. Rather than attempting to arrest the Sith Lords or defeat them militarily, they choose a completely different strategy. They begin broadcasting the complete truth about the Clone Wars' origins to every world in the galaxy, backed by Force-enhanced investigation techniques that make their evidence impossible to deny or discredit. The confrontation that ends the galactic war doesn't happen in a throne room or Senate chamber. It occurs simultaneously across 10,000 worlds, as something unprecedented in galactic history begins to unfold. The Force itself starts awakening in beings who were never meant to be Force-sensitive, according to traditional understanding. Palpatine's greatest fear becomes reality, as the Force democratizes beyond any Sith ability to control or corrupt. His empire of fear and propaganda faces worlds where every citizen can sense deception instinctively, where lies become impossible to maintain, and where the dark side's whispers are drowned out by communities connected through the light side of the Force. His stormtroopers find their weapons malfunctioning when confronted by peaceful Force users. His Star Destroyers discover their targeting systems failing when they attempt to bombard defenseless worlds. Dooku's separatist war machine faces something even more devastating than military defeat: complete irrelevance. Why fight for independence from corrupt governments when you can simply create something infinitely better? Entire separatist worlds begin defecting not to Palpatine's empire, but to the Jedi Alliance, seeking the peace and prosperity they've witnessed through refugee testimonies and HoloNet broadcasts that can't be censored or falsified. The galaxy transforms into something neither Sith Lord planned for, anticipated, or could possibly control. A civilization emerges where the Force serves life rather than death, where power comes from lifting others up rather than tearing them down, and where the ancient cycle of Jedi versus Sith becomes as obsolete as slavery or planetary warfare. The Jedi didn't save the galaxy by fighting the Clone Wars and defeating the Sith in battle. And so the galaxy was transformed, not through conquest or political maneuvering, but through the simple decision to refuse violence. The Jedi's choice to walk away from war created something unprecedented: a civilization where the Force wasn't hoarded by elite orders or twisted by hidden Sith, but shared freely among billions of beings who used it to heal, to build, and to connect across the vast darkness of space. For the first time in galactic history, peace wasn't just the absence of war. It was something alive, growing, spreading from world to world like wildfire. The ancient cycle of Jedi versus Sith, light against dark, seemed finally broken. But in the deepest corners of Sith space, on worlds so steeped in darkness that no living thing had walked their surfaces for millennia, something stirred. Ancient machines that predated the Republic began to hum with malevolent energy. Runes carved into black stone by hands long dead started to glow with sickly light. The greatest victory in galactic history had awakened something that made every previous threat look like a child's nightmare. Something that had been waiting patiently in the dark for thousands of years, watching civilizations rise and fall, learning their weaknesses. The Jedi had won by refusing to fight, but some wars choose their warriors whether they want to fight or not. If you've enjoyed this journey through an alternate Star Wars timeline, there are more untold stories waiting to be discovered. Join our growing community of Star Wars enthusiasts who believe in exploring these what-if moments that could have changed the galaxy far, far away. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and activate notifications to catch our next alternative Star Wars story. Each tale offers a new perspective on the characters we love and the choices that define them. Remember to share your thoughts in the comments below. What other pivotal moments in the Star Wars saga would you like to see explored differently? Your ideas might inspire our next adventure. May the Force be with you, always.